All right, hello class. Today we're going to be talking about the role of attachment styles in couples financial communication. My name is Albert Lavelle. Time recording is the charm. I'm trying to keep it under 8 minutes for you. I spent way too long talking about studies and methods for this particular study. So I'm going to try to breeze through that. I value your time. I want to make it as short as possible for you while giving you the choice nuggets to take this home and apply to your practice. So the full name of the journal article is Let's Talk About Money, the Role of Attachment Styles in Couples Financial Communication, Financial Management, and Financial Conflict. It was done in the Journal of Financial Therapy. It's written by Dr. Monique Pullman of Tilburg University, located in the Netherlands. I was reading several abstracts about communication, and the vast majority of the United States focused ones were focused on individuals, whereas the couple-focused articles were done abroad. I'm not really sure why that is. Maybe because the U.S. is a more individualistic society. But when you figure the vast majority of people we're going to be working with, they're going to be coupled up, it makes sense to address the couple as a unit too. So hopefully through understanding the dynamics of a couple and how they communicate about their finances, it will allow us as financial planners a better avenue to advise them. Before we get too far into the study, let's first outline the attachment styles. It's not something that we talk about often in behavioral economics. It was developed by psychiatrist and psychoanalyst John Bowlby. The theory is that our relationships with our parents growing up influences our intimate and social relationships going forward for the rest of our lives. And there's 4 primary attachment styles: the anxious, the avoidant, the secure, and the disorganized. So the anxious or preoccupied type, they generally have a negative self-image and they have a positive view of others. They seek approval and support from their partner. They value their relationships, but they're often anxious and worried that their loved ones are not as invested in the relationship as they are. So there's a strong fear of abandonment, and any absence of support or intimacy can lead the person to be more clingy and demanding. The second type is the avoidant or dismissive. The avoidant or dismissive, they're super independent. They're kind of the lone wolf. They have a high self-esteem. They tend to feel like they don't need a relationship to be complete, and they don't want to depend on others or have others depend on them. They tend to suppress their feelings when dealing with stressful, emotionally dense situations. Let's skip over the secure for a second and talk about the disorganized or fearful avoidant person. These people, they have a strong desire for intimacy, but they also fear that closeness. So they don't regulate their emotions well. They avoid strong emotional attachments due to their fear of getting hurt. And then last, the secure attachment style, that's about 50 to 60% of the population. Generally, I think of the secure attachment style as just not having the baggage associated with these other 3. They're the emotionally intelligent. They depend on their partners, and in turn, they let their partners depend on them. And they value relationships based on honesty, tolerance, and closeness. They thrive in relationships and don't fear on being on their own at the same time. And they tend to have a positive view of themselves. So out of these 4 attachment styles, which would you think has the hardest time talking about finances with their partner? Before diving into the study, my personal hypothesis was that it would either be the anxious or the avoidant personality. The questions that this study sought to ask is essentially, how does the attachment style we have influence how we talk about finances? Specifically, how is finance discussed in couples? And our goal would be to take this study and figure out how we as financial planners can personalize the advice that we give about financial communication and therefore help households improve their financial management. Ideally, even when we're not in the room, so they can take this home with them and be able to talk about finances at the dinner table. The study methods were 2 cross-sectional studies in the Netherlands and the U.S. There's 116 participants in that one. And then there was a third study with 770 participants that had a little bit more broader questions. It didn't explore the attachment styles nearly as much. The limitation of this study was that there's only 1 person in the couple evaluated. It would be ideal if you could get both people to answer the questionnaire. It's a relatively short survey. It took on average about 15 minutes to fill out. The average age of the participant was 29, and the average relationship term, like how long they were in the relationship, was 8.5 years. Had 4 scales that they were measuring. Their financial communication, financial management, financial conflict, and then a set of questions trying to figure out what their attachment style was. The financial communication questions consisted of 7 questions with a 7-point scale, ranging from totally agree to totally disagree. We've all taken a survey like this, where you kind of put it in a little bubble based on like how strongly you feel about it. And questions were things like, I don't like to start a conversation about financial issues with my partner. The other one, the financial management scale, had 7 questions or statements, and it had questions like, my partner and I have made clear decisions on individual and joint budgets. Financial conflict had 8 statements, with statements like, money is a constant reason for conflict between me and my partner. And then lastly, the attachment styles were measured with 10 statements taken from previous research on attachment styles, measuring fear, anxiety, and avoidance behaviors, with statements like, I don't like people getting too close to me, or I often worry that my partner doesn't really love me. So the results showed that people with an anxious attachment style tend to avoid talking about financial issues the most, and avoiding the talking of financial issues brings about more conflict in the relationship. This causes an indirect effect because if you're less likely to talk, you're more likely to have poor management of finances. And then therefore, if you have poor management, you're also more likely to have conflict about finances. You're not on the same page with your partner. The avoidant attachment style actually surprisingly did not have statistical significance in this study. The anxious style did have statistical significance. They were less likely to financially communicate, less financial management, more financial conflict. So here are the 4 takeaways. The first one being that a person's score on the anxious attachment style, the higher their score was on that, the less comfortable they are talking about financial matters. The more financial communication there is in a relationship, the better that the couple was at managing money. Those who avoid talking about finances with their partner had more conflict about finances. And last, those who avoid talking about finances had more financial problems in general. So how can we apply these findings? Well, previous studies have showed that couples make better financial decisions than individuals. So we want to encourage, as financial planners, communication between the couple. The communication scale questions used in the study, they determined that clients that had trouble talking about money had poor management. And if you wanted to use this adult attachment questionnaire, I'll attach it in the module attachments there, and you can take a look at it. I'll have it on the next slide too, so you can take a look at it. But if you did this survey with clients in your office and they scored pretty low, you'd want to focus on improving that financial communication. You want to help each client determine their attachment style and teach the partners in the relationship to be more responsive to each other's attachment-related needs. Therefore, increasing the positive interactions, and hopefully having the financial communication would prevent more conflicts. So we basically need to break the money taboo. If the couple had issues more than you think that you can handle, it might be a good idea to have professional referrals for therapists that specialize in emotionally focused couples therapy, because it's been shown to successfully decrease anxious and avoidant attachment patterns. A lot of relationships these days, they consist of one person that handles the finances, and that's also been a trend for Gen Z and millennial couples to never even merge their finances and keep separate banking accounts. So partners that make more autonomous financial decisions are usually less satisfied with their family life and life in general. This lower satisfaction with marriage and life has been found for people who keep financial issues secret. This really relates to Jackie's article on financial infidelity, and we would want to avoid that so that we can talk more openly about finance. Here are the adult questionnaire on attachment styles. So it's relatively easy. You can do it in an office. You can send it home as paperwork or a little bit of homework, and hopefully it would help people kind of figure out why they're fearful of talking about money with their partner. All right, these are the other works cited I used for this. Second survey there, or the second reference there, is where the adult attachment questionnaire comes from. All right, have a great day, class.